Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I have Nadab Akhtar on the line, also known as Niddy, and he's co-founder over at Excite Capital. And we're welcoming Niddy back onto the show. He's been a guest many times. We've done work in person, virtual, all of the above. Hey, Niddy, man, it's good to see that face. Welcome back to the show.
Oh, thank you, Adam. It's always a pleasure to be on with you and the overall Mission Matters team.
All right, so we got a lot to catch up on today. So I'm excited to see what's going on at Excite Capital, and I know you've been on a tour lately. We'll get into that in a moment. But before we do that, we'll start this episode the way that we like to start them all, with what we call our Mission Matters Minute. So, Niddy, at Mission Matters, our aim and our goal is to amplify stories for entrepreneurs, for executives, for experts. That's what we do. Niddy, what mission matters to you?
Mm. Adam, the mission that matters to me at Excite Capital is advancing the legacy of our stakeholders. And I want to expand on that. So that's literally our mission statement. Stakeholders are obviously myself, the team, their families, but it's our investors. We always prioritize our investors the most, right? Even my fee model and everything is built on being on an even playing field. We make money when our investors make money, never before, right? And so that is something that is critically important to us. But I want to, if you'll allow me, expand a bit on a deeper mission that we have, and was actually the core reason we even launched Excite Capital. That is to, we are a quantum computing driven high frequency trading fund. That's what Excite Capital is, as you know. But what is deeper in our mission and purpose overall is we believe that it is our patriotic duty to advance quantum computing for the United States. It is quantum computing, we believe, is not just a trend of a technology that's going to come in and have a few cycles in the economy and then you call it that. No, this is going to be a generational transformational technology. Just like you had the railroads, you had energy, you had the internet that created so many derivative businesses and so many derivative industries, such as quantum. We're in the AI age right now, but the quantum age is going to be even different. I like to consider it a substrate on which industries and businesses are built. Hence, we know that our thesis and mission is that the nation, the companies that own quantum, they're going to really lead innovation for the next 50 to 100 years.
I love it, Niddy. It's great. I always love getting into the quantum discussion with you
Yeah.
as well. Oh yeah, we're gonna open that can of worms up as well. So, but before we get, we got a lot of cans of worms to open. But are you in Miami right now? Like, let's catch up a bit here. I want to we haven't talked in a bit. What's going on in your world?
Oh, brother, I just got back to Miami this morning. A bit of a whirlwind tour. So I think I've had 4 flights in the last 5 days.
Yeah.
I went Miami to Dallas. Shout out, by the way, to the reason I flew to Dallas was on Saturday. There is this amazing Punjabi singer. He's a very famous musician. His name is Diljit Dosanjh. And my family and I really enjoy his music. So we all went to his concert and had a great time in church on Sunday. And then I was off to New York City for a political fundraising event. Then Tampa. Tampa right now, it's Special Operation Forces Week, soft week. And so we do some work in the quantum side with a drone company. And so we were there meeting with a few generals and other defense companies. Hyper fascinating work. So Excite Cap, and now back to Miami tomorrow. By the way, it's my birthday, and I'm off to Disney World. So
Come on, man, you're busy.
So a lot of travel, a lot of travel.
Game on. I love it. I love it. Well, I want to, so obviously we've worked with each other a few times, but I don't, for our newer listeners and audience, maybe let's go back in time a little bit here. So Excite Capital, talk a little, you mentioned in the Mission Matters Minute, but go a little bit further into what the firm is and exactly what you do.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So Excite Capital is what you would call a quantitative trading firm, a quant fund.
Mhm.
We leverage algorithmic trading and run a strategy that trades at very high frequency. So we're different than, let's say, traditional investments that like to participate in the markets. We're designed as an AI system that designs and interprets and adapts to the market, but we have a unique approach, Adam, which is that we take only real-time data. So we're not
Mhm.
looking at historical or regressive data. We don't use large language models in our AI. Everything we do is quantum inspired. So we use algorithms and frameworks that leverage quantum mechanics, and we have an AI that's probabilistic, meaning that we take the real time data and we anticipate the future in the term of densities and probabilities.
Mhm.
So beyond that, a lot of our core technologies, Adam, are built on these quantum principles, and we have expanded purposefully expanded into, as I mentioned, drones. We do some work with data centers and energy control software. But
Mhm.
the idea is that we like building cool stuff,
Yeah.
tech and cool stuff, but that's expensive, right? And when you're building deep tech and you're innovating, investors are left holding the bag for 7 years, 10 years, maybe 20 years on deep
Mhm.
tech investments before they see a return. And so a couple of years ago, when we started Excite, the reason we constructed the fund first is I wanted to have an avenue that would leverage deep tech, but show investors, hey, we can generate regular returns for you. So this can be
Mhm.
a dividend producing play, and you invest in deep tech. We prove out the technology scale, but also our own treasury, my partners and I, we
Mhm.
keep investing into building cool stuff. So that's the reason we started.
That's interesting. And shout out to E. I know you're out there, Raj. Like, yeah, the 1-2 punch,
The
brother.
other
Brother,
brother.
talk a little bit. I always got to bring this up, man, because I get a kick out of it. I remember we had that event at Art Basel, and I had the privilege of meeting your parents, and they were showing me baby pictures on the phone. I'm like, man, I'm sorry, on your dad's watch. I think it's an
Yeah, yeah,
Apple
yeah.
Watch. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and I'm like, man, to grow up with these two, like, talk about what it's like to be a little personal hero. You're in business with your brother, man. I love
Yeah,
seeing the 1-2. And we were,
man.
and by the way, at the milk, and we were all together. For everybody that's watching, go on Instagram, ask Adam Torres. You'll see. I said it's the family
Yes.
picture. I've been adopted, so go.
Yeah.
What's it like being with your brother in business? I love the story.
So my brother and I, he's actually older than me,
Mm.
but we're 18 months apart. What do they call that? Irish twins, right?
Yeah,
So
there
so
you go.
we're very close. He was one grade ahead of me in school, and so we have a ton of overlapping friends. But really, what it was, I
Mm.
mean, he's my best friend, right? So growing up, we
Yeah.
really, in a very healthy way, pushed each other to excel and school and achievements and all of that, and it translated into the professional space
Yeah.
really with our becoming business partners while we were in college. You may not know this. I don't know if I've shared this with you, but
Mm.
our first business we opened when we were. I was a freshman at Baylor University.
Mm.
He finished college really fast. So he had just finished up at his undergrad at UTD, University of Texas in Dallas. And I called him and I said, I have a crazy idea that we should. I want to go to med school,
Mm.
and he wanted to go to law school. Suffice it to say, we did not do that. But my idea was that we should open a hookah bar. Because I
Oh.
had heard some upperclassmen had opened a hookah bar near campus, and that's how they paid for tuition and all that.
Mm.
And I went to school on scholarship, but med school was going to be really expensive. And there was no
Mm.
scholar. Well, very difficult to get scholarships and all that.
Mm.
So that's when we started our first business. It crashed and burned, by the way, inside of 6 months, but we recovered. We opened another bar about a year and a half later. But I give you this context in saying that we've done dozens of businesses together. We've had
Mm.
exits. We've lost some money. Made some money for ourselves, for our investors, and what's great, Adam, is that we respect each other's capabilities. So
Mm.
where I'm strong, I cover areas that aren't his strong suit. Now he happens to be a fairly knowledgeable guy, so I can go to him for advice and bounce ideas, even in areas that are my domain, and vice versa. But on technology and AI, he oversees all of it for us, and so I have complete trust in him. But it just works, man. And beyond my brother, actually pretty proud to say our kid cousin also works for us, so he's our analyst, and he's doing a great job. I remember, going to the hospital when he was just like a few hours old.
Get out! I didn't know that story.
And so he's like our little brother, right?
Yeah.
So his working for Excite is also a tremendous blessing. We love it. If I had my way, I'd have the whole family work in the firm, and we will eventually. But I do caveat that with this. It only works because I say this. We may be family. However, this is not a family business. I want to make that clear distinction. What we say, this is a firm, if I had an HR book, and I think we do, I'd put this as a company value. We are not a family business. We may be family, but this is a high performance team. Because family does this. When someone messes up or stumbles or does something stupid, family says, they're there. You'll do better next time. The real world doesn't work that way, Adam. But in a high performance team, what happens? Every player knows the play. They're coordinated. They trust each other. They know that I need to run the ball this way for the play, and they listen to the coach. They listen to the assistant coaches. They practice all of that, right, in order to be a high performance team. That is essential to our culture. That's the only way it works.
That's awesome. I love it, and I love the whole dynamic that and we've never had that part of the discussion of what makes Excite Capital work. I want to spend some time talking about getting back to the quantum side, and just the thought process about. And we've talked about this before, but I just always find your take interesting. Is like it's our responsibility to what our responsibility is to quantum over and above, obviously, just for security, for everything else, because you're having different conversations about this.
Oh, absolutely. So I'll tell you about the quantum side. Let me it's maybe helpful for listeners to think of it this way. So the vast majority of decision frameworks that are used by folks rely on one core assumption, which is that the best way to predict tomorrow is by taking an average of yesterday. I think that's fundamentally flawed, because in 2026, the speed of change in systems, especially like financial systems, is faster than it's ever been. Nowadays, vast majority of the market, I mean like a good 70-80%, is algorithm to algorithm trading. How does the little guy compete? How does that regressive approach of taking yesterday predict the outcomes of tomorrow? Well, first off, anybody who says they can predict the future is full of it. You can't. Because the future doesn't unfold in a straight line, right? It's going to branch, it's going to collide, it's going to curve, depending on what's happening. So if I use this analogy, which is that if you are a someone that looks at yesterday to make your decisions, I think that's like driving down a highway, going 80, 100 miles an hour while only looking at the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
You're going to get lucky sometimes. Maybe you won't crash, but eventually you will. And that's what most financial strategies are built on. This idea that if you study the past carefully enough, you can predict the future. Problem is,
that's been what's been taught, right? Like for so long, and that was the methodologies for decades that were built on that.
Yeah, but markets don't sit still. They change, they evolve, they react like living systems do. Just like weather does, traffic does, planets, right? Like energy as it flows. So what ends up happening is, by the time some traditional model tells you what to do, that opportunity is already gone. You're always reacting, right? So it's a race with no finish line. Even if you're the fastest with the lowest latency, you're always going to be playing catch up. So what we do differently, this is what makes us quantum. And I can go into deep on the algorithms and all of that, but it's fundamentally this: we don't try to predict price. What we do is we look at the market as a system, right? And where if you have movement in a system, you have pressure building in a system, you have constraints, there's going to be some chain reaction. The energy doesn't just dissipate, right, when something moves.
Yeah.
Laws of physics tell you that something follow the reaction. So we try and understand what the market is becoming. Because when you look at any system, whether it's traffic, weather, water flowing through a pipe, things don't happen randomly, Adam. They happen because of those pressures, constraints, and conditions building up. And when those things build up a certain way, the outcome becomes almost inevitable. So when I say probabilistic computing, that's what we're doing. We're not saying, oh, prices, we predict prices going here. We say, given the conditions that be, this is what must happen to the market. That's how we manage risk and returns and flow on a dynamic basis.
Yeah. I'm always curious because I'm not in these meetings, obviously, but I'm curious when you go to places like, Milken Conference we were at, or like iConnections, or like these other ones, and you're talking about this, especially when you're talking to people that have built systems like completely based on, looking in the past. Like, what are those conversations like? Like, is it like, obviously there's different people, I'm generalizing, but like, what are those like for you?
Usually it's one of two polar opposites. The first and usual is one of great interest and intrigue, but skepticism.
Yeah.
The
Like,
reason
is it possible, right? Because it's got to be, because you got to think about, like, okay, let me throw out an age. So if you're 60 years old attending Milken or something like that, you get started in finance when you're in your teens or 20, you know what I mean? You're 40 years of thinking one way, right? Like this other, what you're saying doesn't necessarily fit. It's like a paradigm shift almost.
It is, which is an edge for us, by the way. But I tell them, well, isn't that how the human brain works? And they're like, what? I said, well, number one, from an AI perspective, what we do is we look at the markets in terms of energy, right? So we build models based on entropy. Entropy is like the energy within a system, and we look, I'm paraphrasing and summarizing, but essentially potential energy when it converts into kinetic energy, why and at what rate, and that's how you predict or anticipate where the market is moving because of those models. So with the human brain, or let's say this, the old way of looking at historical data, it's typically an approach that's very deterministic, meaning that the prediction or forecast is going to be about one potential future. That's not how reality really works, right? You can't say with certainty that this is what's going to happen.
And I don't feel like you get pushback on that piece of it.
No,
for sure.
none.
At
that
logical point, they're like, yeah, I follow you. That makes sense, right?
But they say, well, how? I'm like, well, let me tell you. Instead of taking historical inputs to make your decisions in real time, history matters for this. You set your bounds, your rules. And what I say is, like, when you're racing, you put the blinders on. Those are based on rules. So we have three types of rules. We have absolute rules, hard rules, and soft rules. Okay. Absolute rules are things that we never violate, like regulatory rules, or we're only contracted to trade, for example, equities and spot FX. So you never violate those, right? Hard rules are going to be things like, okay, these are parameters that, unless we hard code and change them, we never violate those rules either, right? But they're not gospel. So then we have something called soft rules, where we use an approach called reinforcement learning. The idea, it's like you would say similar to machine learning, but the idea of reinforcement learning is that you're taking sensory input. What do your eyes see? What do your ears, what do you touch? What do you feel? All of that. That's sensory input. So what is the real-time data telling you so you can adjust your decision making? So this is why I relate it to the human brain. Adam, if it's, let's say you walk outside and you see the clouds are pretty dark, you feel moisture, you're going to say, oh, it's going to rain. But you're not pausing and freezing to say, okay, well, last time it rained, I did this. You instinctively know to do what? You instinctively know to get an umbrella, right? Humans also work like this, like humans, animals, water. It's all very lazy. I'll explain. You want the biggest bang for the lowest buck, right? So when a cheetah's hunting, it's not going to go after the fastest or the healthiest. It goes after the weakest, the one that's in the back, the slowest. Humans want the same. Like, you want the most reward for least amount of risk or effort. So that's what essentially we're following. We've programmed these rule sets that say, okay, well, yeah, history is nice, but we only use the history to program the blinders to tell us what good and bad. Good and bad is relative. So depending on what's happening in real time. So we've just programmed an AI like on a rules basis to look at that. And that's what allows us to look at the world and build models in terms of probabilities. And when I explain it like that, people are like, oh, that makes sense. Now, can you prove it? And I said, well, the proof is in the pudding. If you're real about investing, then we'll show you. And when I don't flinch, when I don't over-explain, Adam, the technology, that is when they gain trust. Because I feel like if you try and over-explain or go way too into the physics and science of it, people are just going to glaze over, right? So that's where I try and be. I have the skeptics and I have the people that are hype investors. Well, I don't want the hype investors because they typically, aren't great investors because they don't understand the investment. But there are others that are skeptical because, as they should be, by the way, because there's a lot of AI hype, there's a lot of narrative building that's gone on. I try and be very careful of that. I hate hyperbole.
It's gotta be tricky in today's age with because you've been doing this for a long time, but with everything AI kind of focused, as soon as you say that on any, not just investors, but any platform, people glaze a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. No.
So what type of now is this what type of investors do you look for? Is this for institutional, accredited, what, speaking of that, because you mentioned hyper investor, just riding the wave, those might not be the best fit. Who typically are the right types of investors?
So our PPM is open to accredited investors, but that's the lowest threshold. So typically the ones that make sense are we've had a lot of make sense for in our initial stages that we've had, angel investors and high net worth individuals participate with us, but the single family offices and the and some foundations and university endowments have the appetite to invest in emerging managers or first time managers, as long as the numbers are there. That's why, Adam, what has helped us to garner the trust and attention of prospective investors has been, great technology, but it's also that we invested very heavily in building the appropriate infrastructure. So we got a fund administrator. We have Pillsbury as our law firm. It's the largest finance law firm in the world. Set up our auditor, our multiple primes, you name it. Built an incredible advisory board. I have board members that include executives formerly from Citadel. I have one of the CIOs of Guggenheim. Folks that have been there, done it before, and have incredibly prestigious reputation. So they're getting involved with a new fund. They only do if it's serious and legit. And so that's helped investors a lot. Also helped that I've built a great reputation on Wall Street as well, albeit as a investment banker. But it's just being squeaky clean and kosher in our setup has helped.
Amazing. So Niddy, I'm going to timestamp this one for us. So it's we're recording this or streaming on May 21st, 2026. What excites you right now? It could be about the market, it could be about technology, possibility. Like what excites you right now?
Ooh. What excites me the most actually is the level of innovation being bred in the defense space.
Mm.
Now, the U.S. has always invested in dual purpose technologies, right? Yeah, defense applications and civilian. For technology such as ours, quantum, yes, we built our first business catering towards our stakeholders, making sure that we generate returns for them and went after high frequency trading. But as I shared with you, a strong patriotic duty that we feel is getting into the expanding the quantum space for national interest. So on that note, I'm really excited that under the current administration, love them or hate them, what they're doing very well is they're cutting a lot of the red tape and prior barriers to entry into working with the federal government. And so that's helped us, get some opportunities, open some doors. And so we're very excited about the prospects and growth through potential collaboration and serving, the federal government.
Amazing. Niddy, always a pleasure having you on. Last question here. What's next? What's next for you? What's next for Excite Capital?
Yes. So what's next for us is we have just completed our phase one of our algorithms launch. So we've lined up a great array of some investors that are reviewing our results, and so expanding into phase two, deploying more capital. My family and I have led the round with our own capital to put it in. So what's next is the putting more money into the market, more AUM. So we're very excited about that.
Fantastic. If somebody's listening or watching this and they want to follow up and they want to learn more and connect, how do they do that?
So they can follow us at connect with us at excite.io. So it's spelled like it sounds, EXCITE, traditional spelling.io.
Fantastic. For everybody watching, just so you know, we'll definitely put some links in the show notes so that you can just click on the links and head right on over. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. You heard me correct. Each and every day, we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey as well. So hit that subscribe or follow button. And Niddy, until the next time, man, appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, brother. Okay, cheers. Bye.